Now fast forward to the time of the nation of Israel gathered in the desert under the leadership of Moses in the book of Exodus. God has a plan once again to try to come down and to be with his people. But there's a problem. Sin is still a barrier between us. For people to hang out with God, they have to be right with God. The kind of selfishness and jealousy and hatred and lying deception that dominates our relationship has no place in the community of God. So though God is coming down, his presence must be contained in a room that people cannot enter. God instructs Moses to build that room in a place called the tabernacle. And what I'd like to do is take you through a journey of the tabernacle of the Old Testament. We're going to start off with the nation of Israel with this aerial view in the Sinai desert. And we're going to zoom in, and as we zoom in, you're going to see millions of tents that now make up the grand nation of Israel that God has built and developed. And as it zooms in, you're going to see in the center of their community is the presence of God, or the tabernacle. And that's the same way it should be in our lives, in the center of our families, in the center of our church, in the center of our lives should be the presence of God. And as we zoom in a little closer, you can see that there is the tabernacle, and around it is this thing called the outer court. It is here that the people of Israel would enter into the outer court, and they would bring their sacrifices like lambs to the priest to be offered up for the forgiveness of sin. Now, what I want to do is I want to lift up the side of the tabernacle and show you two rooms inside of the tabernacle. Here on the right is a place called the holy place. It is here that the high priest and the priests would do their work. No one else was allowed to enter. They would bake bread and they would burn incense, and an amazing aroma would come out of this room. It is here that they did their work. Now, off to the left, we have the most holy place, or a room that we often call the Holy of Holies. It is here, with the Ark of the Covenant, that God's presence resided. A room only 15 feet by 15 feet, the size of a modest bedroom, but it was here that the presence of God resided. And it was only the opportunity of the high priest once a year, and only the high priest, to enter behind this room into the presence of God to offer up a sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin of all the people of Israel. The Hebrews called it Yom Kippur. We call it the Day of Atonement. Now let me peek in a little bit closer to this, how this room is divided. This room is divided by a grand curtain. Let me tell you a few things about the curtain. First of all, it was very thick, made of animal skin, impossible to tear. Number two, God instructed Moses that this curtain should be made of the colors blue, purple, and scarlet. Now let me zoom in a little closer and see if you can see this. You will see that there was these cherubim that God instructed Moses to embroider into the curtain. Yes, the same cherubim that stood at the entrance of the Garden of Eden, preventing people from entering into the garden, now symbolically are on this curtain, preventing people from entering into the Holy of Holies, or the presence of God.